That's it.
Welcome to Silence This with your host, J. Austin Graham.
And J. Austin Graham. No, and we also have Tyler Owen Morris.
And I am Tyler Owen Morris. We started this last week. We are starting this week properly. We're even running video. But we wanted to explain what's going on here, why this podcast is called Silence This, who the fuck we are, and what this thing is about exactly.
Yeah, so essentially, I have been silenced. That's the main reason I went to the free speech rally recently, was so that I could yell "Me Too" at the appropriate times. Yeah. And what happened is, some comedians, they don't like that I bring up, basically, it's not so much that I bring up conservative talking points, as I bring up points that show the hypocrisy of the left. Right. That's what I point out, is I'm like, hey, I see you guys doing this, but I don't see you doing this
here. Yeah. You see that you're pointing out the contradictions. You're being contradictory.
Yeah,
that's your thing.
And
everybody knows that's one. Yeah, okay.
And sometimes it hits people right in they're like, oh, that's me.
And so I don't know if we need to bring out the Facebook post and read it, but
well, yeah, we don't need to read it, but let's go over it. Like, so a comedian posted a Facebook post that said, like, basically, hey, I have 190 mutual friends with J. Austin Graham. If you're still mutual friends with him, like, by the end of this day or whatever, I'm going to unfriend you. So basically sending out an ultimatum saying, if you're friends with this person, you can't be friends with me.
I am the arbiter of acceptable thought in the San Francisco comedy community. Yeah. And I am going to get this person removed because I have deemed that his thought is unacceptable.
Yeah. Yeah, they call, basically I'm a thought criminal, according to these people. And
they're thought judges and juries.
Yeah. And all I did that made them this upset was I posted a thing saying, recently, so there was a shooting at a synagogue in California. 3 people got shot, 1 person died. And immediately after that, I noticed the usual SJWs are posting about it, saying, gun control, all this stuff, terrible. And then, but I happened to notice on Easter, a few days before that,
not even a week.
Yeah, not even a week. Over 200 people were killed in Sri Lanka. Christians, specifically, yes, and some tourists. Yeah. And I kind of looked around and I noticed that none of the people that had posted about the 1 person dying at the synagogue, none of them had posted about the 200 Christians dying in Sri Lanka. And so, as you brought up, maybe it's an issue of distance, Mm-hmm. That one happened here in the United States. The other one happened in Sri Lanka. But if I go into those same profiles and see who of them posted about New Zealand, guess what? They posted about New Zealand. They posted about the synagogue. Those people that posted about those two.
Your point being is that they're cherry picking which victims they're concerned about. They're cherry picking who they are. Which victims are more victims, and it's not numerical, it's not quantifiable, it's based on this victim hierarchy. Yeah. And I get what your point was.
The Christians weren't on that hierarchy.
And so what did they do?
So they called me anti-Semitic for that, apparently. She said in her post, she called me anti-Semitic, and which is really strange because, nobody's ever, no Jewish person has ever accused me of that. But she's like, I have friends that live near that synagogue. So this is
I was out deal. On the road near YouTube during the shooting. Ooh.
Yeah. So, it's ridiculous. And most people know me know that that's ridiculous.
Well, one of the good things that came of it was the people from her post that actually interrogated the situation and didn't just take her word at it. Actually, a lot of those people, I think, became your ally.
Yeah. It's real easy to go to see a thing like that and then say, oh, what did this person do?
Yeah.
And none of the people who asked that got an answer. In fact, some of them were unfriended just for asking, what specifically did I do? And
what did you say? Yeah.
And that's how this happens.
Well, that's the thing, is that then the hate mob got started. Once the hate mob got started, the leader of the hate mob jumped in.
Yeah.
And the leader of the hate mob gathered up troops to harass FCC Free Radio.
Yep.
And the owner of FCC Free Radio, which is a censorship-free radio station.
Supposed to be, yeah.
Supposed to be, and they got you censored.
Yeah. Yeah, basically by threatening him, saying, like, we're not going to support you, we're not going to support your station, we're not going to come there anymore. And the thing is like, none of them were supporting the station anyway.
Yeah.
They weren't, so it changes nothing. What happens is they got rid of a loyal person. I've been there for 8 years.
I think I get where the owner's coming from. His concern was that the comedians were going to generate bad press and going to create a bad name for the radio station just out of spite for you. And so if he didn't act, then his radio station was threatened.
Right.
And so I feel like he's also a victim in this as well.
I agree.
And like I feel like, his hands weren't tied,
no.
But at the same time his cards were pushed pretty far.
I would say the problem is when I saw the exchange done in private messages, and the problem is Newman complained. The owner stood up and he said, like, look, I know you two have problems. I don't care.
Yeah,
but
between you two, you deal with it. Yeah.
But he said, unfortunately, he gave him an in. He said, but if you come up with some more complaints, then I can act. And so, of course, he was able to find more complaints very easily since there was already a group of people coming after me.
Yeah.
So that's what happened, and that's why we got a new show.
And so, yeah, I think what we're gonna do with the show is we are going to bring on other people who have been silenced or canceled by PC cancel culture. And we are going to have a conversation with them about
We want to hear their side. That's what's important. I mean, some of these people, like, look, I had Keith D'Souza on my last, on Not Safe for Work.
Yeah.
Great guest.
That was the previous podcast, if anybody doesn't know.
And I really wanted to, and you know what? It was important for him to get his side of the story out.
I think
a lot of information was released that nobody knew. For instance, that he actually wrote a really well-written rebuttal on Medium to his accusations. That's was really gentlemanly, really well done. And we got some video stuff going on right now.
We left our video on an ambient live feed. It's decided to throw advertisements at us. Disregard that. You can't see it. It doesn't matter.
Well,
that's the thing is, we've decided that, okay, if we can't go through the radio station, then me, Tyler, I am a production guy. We have a microphone.
Yeah.
We're going to add video to the feed. We're going to go ahead and do YouTube with this.
Yeah.
And you're going to punch us down. You're going to fucking silence. We're going to come back stronger. And not only that, but you can't mute us.
Yeah.
Because there's nobody to go to complain because we're the ones making it. So go fuck yourself, Clay.
Oh, yeah. No, that's where I am right now. And look, I just had one of my favorite sets that I've ever had. I went to San Mateo and I've been working on this new material. I wouldn't really call it pro-Trump material, but it's definitely not hating Trump material. It's definitely give him a shot type of thing. Hey, maybe he's not all that bad. So, but.
Well, that's the thing is that I think I do feel like the tide is continuing to shift on a lot of these issues, and I'm seeing a lot of the comedians who are hard lefties, who were getting outraged about stuff, now deciding hey, wait, this PC outrage bullshit has gone way too fucking far, and we're not down with it anymore. And we can't do our jobs anymore. We can't be comedians. We can't talk about what we want to talk about, because if we talk about what we want to talk about, then somebody inevitably gets fucking offended. And guess what? That's comedy.
Yeah. No, that's. I mean,
supposed to get offended.
So San Francisco's late to come around on this. The LA scene's been over this for a while. You can tell. You hear comedians talking about it, and they're yeah, whatever. If you're funny, you're funny. If you kill in a room, you kill. We're not about that.
Doesn't matter what you talk about.
Yeah.
It just matters if you're funny. You can talk about any subject. Everything's fair game. Just be funny.
And that's starting to catch up here. And I'm seeing it though. I'll do my set and people come up to me afterwards. They're hey man, I really like that joke.
Yeah, I like that you said this touchy thing.
Yeah,
I like that you approach this subject that most other people won't touch.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like, and you can see it. Like I heard Joe Rogan say it, and I was like, yeah, I agree. And it's like, and there's a hunger for this, for like it's
the audiences want it.
Yeah, it's anti-orthodoxy. It's heresy. Like you're going against the regular grain. It's like Lenny Bruce coming out there and talking shit about the church. You know, it's like that's what it is. Yeah,
and that's what this is now. You were not supposed to talk shit about religion, and he was going up there and doing these story bits about Jesus came back and the Pope and the church and da 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 da, and it was like, oh, you weren't. And you listen to it now, and it seems so benign. Mm-hmm. And now, you know,
well, this is going to be the same. Like white guilt is the modern religion, right? Like that's the original sin, white guilt. That's what we're dealing with right now.
I think it's a layered problem, especially now that I didn't bring this up I brought it up on the last Lost podcast, but this is the new one. I've been reading Bell Hook's Feminist Theory from Margin to Center, and I think, and this is written in the 80s,
okay,
and all of the problems with feminism existed then too. It's just they're bigger and exacerbated now, and I think that intersectionality is essentially it's this groupism, and it's collectivism that you aren't you. You are not down to Jay. I don't have to respect you as Jay, the individual person sitting in front of me. I can look at your skin. I can look and figure out your gender, figure out your sexual orientation, figure out all these little things about you, and now I know everything I need to know about you.
Weird.
Isn't that like
Didn't
the
that
definition
used to be called
of
prejudice?
Racism? I think, well, that's the thing is that that's been categorized. That's been brought into.
If you do it over race, that is racism. Yeah, but and if you do it over sex, it's sexism.
It's acceptable to do to some people and not acceptable. It's and that's weird to me. Is that it shouldn't be acceptable to do to anyone. Mm-hmm. I actually had. We're both Lyft drivers, by the way. We should say we both make a lion's share of our income off of driving Lyft. But I had a passenger. And I don't remember how it came up or how we were talking about it, but we were talking safety, the issue of safety. And I was basically saying that it's my personal opinion that you shouldn't be relying on the state or other people or society or anything else for safety. Safety should be a personal responsibility issue that you should know how to handle yourself and safety. And she said, but hey, you're a straight white man, blah, 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 blah. These other black people in this neighborhood had to deal with this stuff and da 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 da. How can you have that opinion? And I'm like, do you get how you're like judging me, like based on my skin color? Yeah. I was like, you get how like you don't know me, and you don't get to say that I can't have an opinion. Like it doesn't matter where I'm from. It doesn't matter what color my skin is or my gender or nothing. Yeah. My opinion is that like your safety in the world is up to you. And how I came about that opinion is up to me. Like, that's my world. Like, it's not, if you want to have a conversation about it, sure, but don't break it down to my skin color, gender, and sexual orientation. That's not who I am. It's part of who I am, but it's definitely not the first three parts of who, I mean, we identify those as the first three parts, the most important parts, but they're probably not.
Well, as a straight white male or whatever, look, I know that I'm responsible for where I am in my life. You know what I mean? Like, but I do feel like that's kind of a privileged thing because I can't blame anybody else. Like, I can't blame my skin color. See, I can't blame my race. I can't blame.
That's part of why I think that, you know, straight white males and Asian males as well end up they end up being at the top of the pile in a lot of these categories. A lot of these, like, you know, even the amount of job applications to a lot of these high quality jobs, they're just inundated with Asian and white male candidates for these things. And I think a lot of that is because those are two cultures where you're not allowed to play victim.
Yeah.
Where it is on you. You know, it's like, Jay, why do you not have a software engineering job at a major tech company?
Yeah.
Well, because you didn't do X, Y, and Z, and you know that.
Yeah, I can easily be like, because I didn't study coding, I didn't apply for those jobs. Shit. There's all these things that I could have done that I didn't do, and I can see that exactly. Yeah. Instead, I stayed home and smoked weed. I know that. I know that's what I did. Yes. Yeah, and I take responsibility for that, and that's why I drive for rideshare, because I can do it. I can get out there. I can do it. I can do it on my own. It's a very independent thing. Yeah. It is.
I like that part of it where you don't have a boss.
Yeah.
Nobody's telling me when to do it, and there's no expectations. There's no...
If you want, you can take weeks off, and then you can work solid for, to make that money. If you want, if that's how you want to do it.
It's up to you.
You can do it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's how... I think that's how work was throughout history, but also it wasn't just like, hey, I got a little bit more money in the bank. It was like, hey, my family eats or doesn't eat.
Right. And that's another thing. I get in these arguments where people are like, well, nobody should starve. And it's like, that's a nice theory.
Yeah.
I get that. That doesn't bear out with the way Earth and the universe tend to work.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, well, somebody should just get free food. It's like, okay, but like that food also, doesn't just appear. It doesn't
come out of anywhere. Yeah. Well, the other thing is like, I think about water. Water is an even bigger issue. That like nobody should go without clean drinking water.
That's true.
And yet, huge parts of the world, that's a major fucking issue. And like, the fact that you start at food should let you know that you're fucking privileged. That you didn't even think about the water.
Yeah.
That like, because the water is actually a much, much bigger issue internationally. Like it's clean drinking water is a huge killer. It's a huge problem.
Is that an Ethan Allen desk?
I don't know.
Sorry, that looks like the desk I grew up with as a kid.
Pretty much, yeah. It was my dad's desk.
Okay, it probably is. It's probably the same brand as the furniture I have in my apartment now.
Yeah, that's cool. We're pretty minimalist here in the apartment. For those of you who are listening, we are recording this sitting in my studio apartment. Jay's on my futon. Yep. I'm sitting on top of a fucking milk carton. A milk crate, rather.
But we appreciate the audio-only listeners because that's me. I listen to podcasts while I drive. Yeah. So
me too. Yeah. I'm the same way.
That's why. Yeah, this is not a dying medium.
No,
not at all.
And we're not. This really, the visuals are boring. If you're watching us, sorry.
Yeah.
You should probably be listening. It's way better, I think.
Well, I mean, this basically the reason we would shoot. I am for shooting visuals is because people find things on YouTube. Yeah, that's like so.
And then you can see and you can look at us, and then when we start talking, you can hear what we're talking about.
You can see what we're drinking.
Yeah, and see that like we're two dudes who live in San Francisco. We know this city. We know the people that live here, and I guess we're kind of anti-liberal. Because we're aware of the fact that, like, hey, you can get as concerned as you want about fucking white supremacists in the South and all that shit, but we live in San Francisco, and here the big concern
is not a problem.
Is people too far on the left.
Yeah,
like that's the big scary monster.
Well, see. I moved out here from Texas, and I grew up around some racist fucking people. Yeah. So I was easily able to identify racism and be like, okay, that's a thing I don't like. I don't like these people. I don't want to be around this. And then some people would be willing to have a conversation, but some people were closed-minded about it, and they're like, no, whatever. And it's like, so once I got I felt like I was constantly bumping my head against these closed-minded people. And I was like, I'm out of here. I'm going to the West Coast, where it's completely different.
People. Yeah.
And at first I was like, it is cool. Like, look at all these gay people, trans people live. It doesn't matter. And everybody gets along. Cool, it's totally cool. And then one day I was on Yik Yak and I got banned for life because somebody asked me, somebody on Yik Yak said, hey, where's a good place to see men dressed as women dancing? And I said, oh, Divas is a popular tranny bar on Post. Mm-hmm. And I got banned for life because I said trans with a Y instead of an S.
Tranny.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that what that's called?
I thought so. I grew up around like people in that community, and that was just what you called a bar where people go and dress and drag. You call it a tranny bar. Like, that's just the name of it. I never thought that was insulting by any means.
Offensive or anything.
Yeah. And that was, to me, that's when it hit me, and that's when I noticed something is not right here. Yeah. Because there's no hate, there's no prejudice. I was just saying a word.
Yeah.
And banned for life.
Tandy, come on. My dog is roaming around in the halls.
And
you should probably get a little closer. I think I'm worried about your audio levels.
Okay.
I'm worried you're a little far. And I'm also worried about my lack of beer.
I can either be close to the mic or I can help you with the beer, but I can't do both those things.
I can do the beer. Do you have a rant you can handle while I get the beer?
Sure. So I went to a free speech rally. It's called Demand Free Speech here in the heart of San Francisco at the City Hall. And it was put on mainly by conservatives who felt they were being censored. But the point is it was a free speech rally. So it was for people who feel like they've been silenced. That's why I went, because I felt like one of them. And to me, the highlight of the whole situation was watching Will Johnson, a black man, yelling at an older white woman, probably in her 50s. He was yelling, "It's okay to be white." And she was yelling back, "No, it ain't." And
whoa. Welcome to fucking clown world.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, that was like, I was seriously like, wow, this clown world shit is real.
Come on, Tandy. Tandy, come on. Sorry, dog. Don't let that in.
But,
I don't let him know it's the dog. Get in here, you idiot.
But some of the people that were, so basically the lady with the pink mask on hit me in the hand with her sign. So I've been joking around saying, I was assaulted by Antifa, but I know it's a joke. But it's funny when other people see that and they're like, oh, he's just talking shit and playing the victim. It's like, no, I know it's a joke.
But we're doing
I am
intentionally.
But I know it's a fucking joke. So
we're doing it to mock. That was the thing is that was essentially the behavior that I saw coming out of Antifa that really repulsed me about what they were doing, was that they were antagonizing people into striking them and then going, "Hey, struck me."
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's exactly what they were doing. I mean, like, and look, when she hit me with her sign, I felt like, hey, I have the excuse to pull her mask off now. And as a person who watches these Antifa videos, I'm always going, pull the mask off. I'm always thinking that. I'm like, but look, there were cops there. There was other Antifa there. There were people wearing like body armor. And I was just like, I don't want to escalate this.
Yeah.
I thought, like, I have an opportunity to do the thing that I always see people on video and I want them to do it. But I can look around and I can see what's probably going to happen if I do that.
You know, what I thought was funny when I was watching that video is that I saw Edwin there.
Oh, yeah. I like Edwin. Great guy.
Those of you who don't know, Edwin runs the Empathy Circle. And so at these volatile events in the Bay Area, Edwin comes out and he invites people from, the left and from the right to sit down and have an empathetic conversation, a structured, ruled, empathetic conversation where you have to stick to the rules of the conversation. And I really think Edwin is onto something. We should probably...
I agree.
Should probably have him on, even though he hasn't been canceled from anything.
I would love to have him on. Yeah, he's a great... Well, his empathy circle idea is fucking fantastic. What he does... Somebody makes their statement, and then you have to repeat it back to them so that they sufficiently feel heard before you can make a rebuttal. That way, everybody understands what the other person's coming from. And it's important that you listen first before you come up with a rebuttal.
Right.
And that's what I think is the most important about those empathy circles.
So that actually kind of brings us to an interesting point where I can launch into explaining why I'm so passionate about people being listened to, about people not being silenced, and why I think Edwin's onto something.
Right before you do that, I want to say that in school and church and public things, I always got along with the marginalized. Like, if I saw somebody that was, like, kind of in the out group, didn't have a lot of friends, you know, maybe they had a mental issue, you know, maybe they were a little slow, whatever, I would kind of want to give that person a friend. I would kind of tend towards, like, I see this person over here.
You got joy from bringing them into the group.
Yeah, well, it's not so much bringing them into a group, it's just being a friend for them.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you know, that gets you put in the out group because because I'm being friends with these people that aren't in the in group or whatever. But that's how I've always been. And now that I'm seeing comedians do that to other comedians who maybe have mental issues, maybe just aren't as quick, whatever, maybe they're not as book smart, whatever the reason being, when I see somebody being picked on, and it's not because they're saying things that offend people, it's just because they're different. That really fucking bothers me. And I saw that happening this week.
That was like
really fucking
one of the
bothers
things
me.
that solidified me against Antifa was during the Berkeley riots when Milo was going to show up and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
One of my friends who I've done videography with before, who is extremely autistic.
Okay.
Great videographer. Really interesting guy.
Uh-huh.
Like, I really like him as a person. And he can be difficult.
Yeah, yeah.
But he's very passionate about what he's passionate about, and videography is one of those things. And so he went out to videotape those riots, and they told him not to videotape because they were concerned he would get people's faces and incriminate them. And he said, I want to incriminate you. What you're doing is a crime.
Yeah, very, very straightforward. Like,
Very
yeah.
autistic. So they kind of kicked him around, beat him up a little bit, and ran him off. And hit him. They fucking hit him. They assaulted him.
Yeah.
They hit him to get him to go away. And I was like, okay, motherfuckers, you're going to hit this autistic guy with a camera?
Yeah.
Fuck you.
No, that's the thing. I think being anti-fascism should be great. I should be on these people's side. There's no reason for me to be against the anti-fascists.
They're acting like fascists.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the problem.
Always been the problem is that there's this thing happening on the left where they're like, we have to stop racism. Well, how are you going to do that? Well, I'm going to be racist to this person, and that's going to fix it. You're like, hold on a second. We need to fix fascism. Well, how's your plan to do that? I'm going to act fascist to these people, and it's going to fix it. You're like, motherfucker, you're using the weapon you're trying to stop people from using. Stop.
And what they don't understand is that emboldens the people they're fighting. Well, because when you're racist towards a racist, they're just like, oh, they're coming at me with this now? Now I have an excuse.
Well, that's the thing is that's part of my thing is I think, you know, the accusation of Nazi and the accusations against white people, and particularly straight white men, is probably creating more people, especially those not too bright people who are like, they feel assaulted by that. You're making that guy vulnerable to being recruited by actual fucking skinheads and those guys that were on the fucking edge. Your negative straight white men are the worst fucking thing, and and you don't get to talk because you're a white man, and you don't get to this, and you don't get to that behavior towards that guy. That pushes him towards the edge where all of a sudden an actual white supremacist could recruit that guy because he's vulnerable, because he doesn't feel
it's about including,
listened to, or included by liberals.
Yeah, the people that are supposed to be for diversity and inclusion aren't including some people.
They're
and when they exclude these people, they're like, well, why don't I get to be in the group? Like, and it would be so easy to just be like, hey, let's all get along. Let's all be in the group together. But it doesn't happen. And that's, again, going back to the demand free speech rally, like, the free speech side was so diverse. All different races, all different genders. Like, there was a woman carrying around a base tranny for Trump 2020 sign. And it's fucking hilarious.
And the counter protesters were
all white.
Yes.
All
the
white.
Liberals, the white liberals.
All
There's
white.
the white supremacy.
I swear to you, every single one of them.
And this is one of the things is they say they're fighting white supremacy, and then when you bring out the term liberal supremacist, that cranked some shafts, man. That got some people.
I liked that one.
That got a retweet and a really long argument with some people. It was fun though.
I thought that was a good conversation. Yeah. By the way, follow Tehe Owen Morris on Twitter.
Owen Morris, TEH Owen Morris. On Twitter, I'm fucking hilarious. Especially if you understand what I'm doing, and that a lot of what I'm saying is, going literal with the words and a little bit of parody and a little bit of kind of poking fun at things and not taking things too seriously.
Well, the one
but still discussing the issues seriously, but still kind of not taking it seriously. I think I'm a lot of fun on Twitter.
Yeah, I personally enjoy trolling on Twitter more because there's more strangers involved, less of my actual friends, and then you can get into some really interesting conversations that way because you don't care about the other person's feelings.
And you can make those like stranger friends.
Yeah.
Like I like some of my stranger friends who like I got into those arguments with, and we got all the way down the rabbit hole with an argument and we're like, we agree.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we do. We agree.
That's what more people should. I'm surprised that more people don't agree with me when I get down to the bottom of, look, I'm just saying we shouldn't judge individuals by the actions of other individuals who just happen to share their physical characteristics.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
That makes total sense to me.
and I get down to that bottom, and I'm like, look, that's all I'm saying. And then they're like, no, but white people. And it's like,
individual sovereignty. This was the problem. This is the reason that we left fucking Europe. This is the reason that us white people are in fucking America, was because motherfuckers were doing this shit to us back in Europe. And we were like, just because I'm Catholic Protestant, blah, 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 whatever, like people, these motherfuckers. And then we got the fuck out. Now we're here.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to go into my backstory a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know where we're at with time. Should we?
Yeah, no.
Check
Let's
time.
do it. I'm sure we got time. Yeah.
30 minutes. Plenty of time. We were going to go for an hour and then maybe pause and go for another 30 minutes or until we're done.
Yeah.
But we're going to go for an hour the first time. Okay. So, the big doozy with my backstory for any brand new listeners, anybody who doesn't know me.
This is important. Listen up.
I was born here in San Francisco in the 80s, and my mother really wanted a daughter, and I was the second of two boys. And so she decided that I was,
gonna be the daughter.
I was gonna be the daughter come hell or high water. She's gonna mulligan this shit. She's gonna fucking get that ball in there no matter what. God damn it. And so I was essentially feminized as a young boy.
Which, I gotta be honest, I did not know was happening in the 80s.
I think I was very early. I think
you're ahead of the curve on this one.
And that's why I'm interesting, is because, I'm 35 now.
Right.
I can very clearly say that. Well, the other thing is, and looking back at I have so many photos and videos from my childhood. This is why the documentary is going to be good. Working on a documentary, by the way. Anyway, but there's one set of photos that I found that I thought was really interesting, which was it was early in the time that we had first moved to Ohio, and my brother was being permitted to participate in Pee Wee football.
Okay.
And so full pads, blah, 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 me, t-shirt, shorts, sideline. And you can see in my face, I'm like, I want to fucking play.
Yeah.
I want to get pads on. I want to get out there with the other boys. I want to fucking play. And like, I had been doing all this dance and theater and all these things, and I think, no knocking those things. It's not like ballet didn't help me in football. It's not like they're not beneficial or good things. It's not like they're exclusively male or female, but they are more feminine than football.
Well, in ballet, I can see how ballet would translate into football.
It's great.
Balance,
it's
and like it makes sense.
I would have been a terrible player had I not had a ballet background.
I get it. Actually, I'm surprised more parents don't look into something like that, because when you're younger, training the balance and stuff, and you don't want young kids being hit.
Here's the thing: is I used to play. I played nose tackle at one point in time on defense.
How old?
This would have been like sophomore year.
Okay.
And I think we even had a formation on varsity where I was nose tackle. We had a 5-3 formation where I was the nose tackle. I had two guys to the side of me. But the thing that fucked everybody up was that I was about like 160 pounds, 155 pounds. Something. I was pretty fucking light. And so we would come up to the line and the opposing side would laugh at me.
Wow.
Not realizing that I don't stand up. I am going to move you from below you. And I don't care about you 200 pounds or 220 pounds. I'm going to move you because I have better balance than you. I have better control. I have better movement. And I could reliably do what I needed to do from that position, and my coaches knew it, and we knew that it was a psychological game on the opposition. And so, yeah, I mean, it helped me, and it put me into some positions that I should not have been able to play with my weight and size.
Cool.
So it was an athletic benefit. So I'm not complaining about the ballet. I'm not complaining about the theater. I'm not complaining about that stuff. But when I moved towards the masculine stuff, that was a big no-no. That's the part I'm complaining about. That was the big punishable thing. And that when I kicked back and said, hey, I want to go be a normal teenage football playing high school boy, I got shut up. I got silenced. And the method at that time was at first therapy and blaming me and blaming, that this is my problem for not being happy as a teenager with the way the family was going. And then they sent me away to the wilderness survival programs. And so I really feel that a lot of those things were silencing me, and the podcast is called Silence This. And so I've been kicking back against that for years. The ultimate culmination of that, which my documentary, removed from reality.com, but the ultimate culmination of which was, after getting out of the Marine Corps, getting back from Afghanistan, and a couple of years of pushing against my family to really listen to me and address the problems that I had with the family and really address the concerns I had, my mother disowned me and stopped speaking to me entirely and basically silenced me out of her life rather than listen to my concerns with my childhood and my concerns with the family and my concerns with how I was treated by the family. And so it's a real deep personal issue for me.
Yeah.
When somebody says, I'm not going to listen to you anymore because what you have to say is wrong and bad. And what I'm really saying to my family is, hey, I want the family to be better. I want us all to be better, which means we have things we have to work on.
Yeah.
And I'm working on me, but you got to do you too. And so this behavior that's hurting me, please stop.
Well, it sounds like Edwin's empathy circle idea would actually work really well in that situation.
Bringing it all the way back, that's what we did at Wilderness. That's what the Wilderness program
kind of back and forth.
When I got sent away, and especially once you got into conflict, they were teaching us conflict management. That was one of the major parts of conflict management.
I like having a dog in the podcast. It gives some comic relief, I guess.
Texture. Give some organic life.
How many podcasts do you listen to with dogs running around?
Right. And if you look at the video, then you can see her. She's adorable.
I believe Louder with Crowder does have Hopper in studio pretty much every week.
Nice.
They don't mention him much, but
he's probably not as cute as Tandy.
Yeah, and you know what? I haven't seen. I don't know, man. He's got one leg, or he's got 3 legs. That's why they call him Hopper. He's probably pretty fucking adorable. I haven't seen him, but I bet he's pretty adorable.
Tandy's pretty cute.
No, Tandy's okay. But probably anyway. Still not Tandy, but I bet Hopper's pretty cute. Yeah. Shout out to Hopper. Shout out to Crowder, man. Fucking that guy is leading away. Look, I went to an open mic recently, and Dwight Mai, great comedian, came up to me, and he said, I'm not sure I should talk to you. Just joking around, of course. Yeah. But he was like, but he's like, he knows me. He knows that I get information, and I can hold my argument. So he was like, he came up, and he's like, so how do you feel about Amazon not paying taxes? Because he legitimately wanted my take on it.
Conversation about it, yeah.
Yeah. And I said, well, if it was true that Amazon wasn't paying taxes, that would be a horrible thing. But however, I learned from Crowder is that Amazon just doesn't pay corporate tax because they do so much R&D that they get to write it off for their corporate tax. They still pay payroll tax. They still do Social Security, sales tax in the states that cause it. Like, they pay a lot of taxes. They just pay 0 corporate income tax because they're able to write off all the research and that shit. So to me, it's like, okay, that's the way the law is written. You're able to put that much research in, you can write it off. But it gets played out when Bernie Sanders says it. He says, Amazon hasn't paid any taxes. And Or he might
like not accurate.
He might even say corporate income tax, but the thing is people hear it and then repeat it and they don't understand what they heard.
I think that's a major problem with a lot of these topics is that they get boiled down to talking points and quick little zippers and little zingers that you can quip off at a party kind of stuff, and they're Clay Newman level shit.
Yeah,
low hanging fruit.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason I call him Clay Strawman.
Yeah,
because he loves the straw man.
Yeah, the straw. So what you're saying is this, and you're like, no.
That is not what I said. Yeah. You came up with that on your own.
Yeah, that's a very, very common arguing tactic these days, and it's considered. I mean, there's a lot of people who consider it legitimate because. You're right. You say one thing, and it's extrapolating. You're taking what I said. You're taking you're not listening.
Number one, not listening.
You're not listening. You're taking your interpretation. You are adding things to it and then iterating it back. It's not Edwin's tactic.
No, not at all.
Of actual listening, of cognitive behavior, of proven, because the other thing that you discover with that tactic, it's actually really good in those circles because most people are good at it. Mm-hmm. But when you're not good at it,
it shows.
What you'll discover is that you will say back to that person something, and the person will go, no.
That is not what I said.
That is not what I said.
Yeah.
I said this, and they'll have to keep clarifying until you hone in on it and you get it.
Yeah.
And a little bit of that does happen in those circles, and so you can see that process of kind of shedding off what you thought the person said and actually getting down to
what they really
meant
said.
And what they said, and getting rid of your personal filter.
Yeah. Yeah, that's prejudice is another word for that.
It's your filter on the world. It's the lens through which you see things.
Are you familiar with yourlogicalfallacyis.com? There's a website. It's yourlogicalfallacyis.com.
Okay.
And so, for instance, if somebody gives you a straw man, all you do is you type in yourlogicalfallacyis.com/strawman, and then it gives them the definition of what a straw man is. If somebody gets burden of proof wrong, you type in yourlogicalfallacyis.com/burden of proof, and it'll give them where the burden of proof lies on the person making the claim.
Straw man's a big one.
But the most insane thing I've ever heard online is I've posted here's a straw man, here's what you said, here's why this is a straw man, and then their response is, oh, you're posting right-wing propaganda. I'm like, logical fallacies is right-wing propaganda? Learning to and that's what postmodernism is. Postmodernism is basically saying there is no right, there is no wrong, there is no universal truth. There's
only my interpretation.
Yeah. And
there's only my feelings. My feelings trump reality.
Well, the easy comeback to that is, I feel hurt when you talk bad about white people. I feel hurt when you talk bad about men. I feel hurt when you talk bad about when you're heterophobic.
And by the way, you need to express your feelings in order to get over your toxic masculinity. But when you express those feelings, that is toxic masculinity. Do you see how that double standard works? See how the double standard's applied?
So to me, Nancy Pelosi blew that one open. She said it doesn't matter what they meant; it matters how the victim feels.
No,
but we can turn that around. You and I, white men, can easily turn that around and be like, "No, it's how we feel. It's how I take it." Yes,
I feel
yeah. You can easily take what she said and apply it to us.
So this is what I think that we're ultimately doing here with this. Is you're taking their logic and going, okay, so the victim's number one.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so this person who you said was the culprit, they're the victim now.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Your move, buddy.
Yeah.
Your move.
You brought us here.
You brought us here. Now how do we proceed when the culprit is the victim and the victim is the victim?
Yeah.
Everyone's a victim. We're all victims. Everybody's victimized.
Yeah.
We're all oppressed. Who's the oppressor?
God. It's God. Fucking God.
God damn it.
Stop oppressing
us. I'm an atheist. I'm an atheist, so there is no God.
Still oppressing.
Where do you go from here?
You can't stop the God from oppressing.
Where do you go from here? You have to find something else
the Tao.
Is the oppressor.
The Tao is oppressing you.
No, you have to... God damn it. You have to find something else. It must be another human being because I certainly cannot have any personal accountability over my own existence. That is not possible.
Oh, that's another thing that's fucking hilarious to me is The idea that you're guilty for the bad that your ancestors did, but if they did any good, fuck that. Yeah. You don't get any of that.
No.
If your ancestors earned a lot of money, helped a lot of people, no, fuck that. They're terrible.
Well, this is, and you read some Solzhenitsyn, and you immediately see how evil that shit can get.
I mean, I haven't read that, but I get the idea.
Are you familiar with the Solzhenitsyn?
Yes, I am a little familiar, yeah.
Because essentially what happened is it was the Bolshevik revolution where they decided that the earning class and these bourgeoisie people had stolen something from them. And then they went and murdered them and raped their daughters and just fucking wiped them out because we're the oppressed class and you are the oppressor and now our violence is justified.
Right.
Our evil is justified. That's the really scary thing.
That is the scary thing. You're exactly right. They're justifying their own evil.
And their anger and their hatred and their evilness.
Yeah.
That's what scares me.
That's what they say. They say violence against fascism is always self-defense. That's what they say. But they can't define fascism.
No.
Find somebody who says violence against fascism is always self-defense. Then ask them, define fascism. Their definition communism will never fucking match.
Well, then violence against communism is also
self-defense. I would agree.
But the thing is that I'm of the personal opinion, especially as a military veteran, especially as a combat veteran, I am of the opinion that violence is definitely a last resort. And one of the beauties to the United States, to America, to the First Amendment, to our Constitution, to what this country stands for, is free speech.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
The ability for people to get heard, and that we can fire up this microphone here, and we can have our voices be heard, and nobody can fucking silence us. You hear that, Clay Newman? Go fuck yourself.
And I mean, look, YouTube's not the friendliest to certain things, but I don't care. Look, I'm not trying to make money off of ads. I just want to get this out there. If we make money off of ads, that would be fucking great. But that's not the point.
Let's fucking put the cards where they are. This is not about having a successful podcast. No. This is
getting a voice out there.
This is not about making money and accumulating some huge audience. This isn't about fucking my ego or your ego. This is about, I have an opinion. And some of the people that live in my city think that opinion deserves to be silenced. Yeah. Particularly deserves to be silenced because of the color of my skin.
Look,
my gender and my sexual orientation. And those same people claim to be,
for that sort of thing usually.
Inclusion. Mm-hmm. And against racism and against sexism and against sexual exclusion. And yet those are the categories on which you are excluding me.
Right. Exactly. And, so I saw in Comedy Complaints, there was a post about a black man posted something like kind of cryptically about you don't face this kind of discrimination, or he said something like, I want to see diversity on stage. When I book, I want to see diversity on stage. And my response to that was, I noticed you said you wanted to see diversity, but you didn't say you wanted to hear diversity. Yeah. How many conservative comedians do you book?
Yeah. How'd that go?
No answer.
Yeah.
But I think that's important.
No, I think you're right.
Because
it's very important. You should hear things that challenge you.
Yeah. Especially in comedy. And this is where I've had comedians that looked at my saying I was assaulted by Antifa. I know it's a joke, but they're like, "Oh, that's hilarious that you say that." It's like, yeah, it is hilarious.
It is hilarious.
But
that was the point. I get it.
But people have been like, "Oh, you're so brave," or "Oh, look at you," and my response is like,
"Yeah, that's funny."
How many other comedians were there?
Yeah,
I'm out there in the front lines supporting free speech. This is what we're all about. Yeah. This is what comedians live on. Yeah. It's free speech. And I was out there. Where were the rest of you? Mm-hmm. Now, I get it. That's not the liberal thing. But to me, it's you know what? Some of you should have been out here. If you had the day off, if you had the time off, some of you other comedians should have been out here paying attention to this. I don't fault anybody for not. I was just disappointed at how few faces I recognized at a free speech route.
Yeah, well, I don't think that the Clay Newmans of the world are interested in free speech.
Not really, no.
I think they're interested in riding the line, and they're interested in being part of the institution. Mm-hmm. They're interested in reinforcing everybody's already held beliefs. They're not interested in questioning anything. They're interested in doubling down on who they are and where they are and trying to build that out. And they're not interested in hearing other points of view, which is really interesting because they claim they want more other points of view.
And this is where, look, I wasn't a Trump supporter. I didn't vote for Trump.
Me neither.
I didn't want to vote for Trump.
No.
So when I see people doubling down on the strategy that got Trump elected in the first place, I'm just like, come on, guys.
That's the thing that's so hard.
I don't want this either.
Well, the other thing is it's really hard to get them to admit when you try
it was their fault.
Yes.
They can't do it.
They can't do it. When you're like, do you understand that like Trump was not elected because of white supremacists in Alabama? Trump was elected because of liberals. Trump was elected because of PC culture, because of liberal bullshit, because of how insane the left and the liberal media had gotten, and they still are. And
they're doubling down on it.
He's gonna get elected again because you and I are gonna vote for him this time. We're gonna show up because you know what? I'm not putting up with the. I would rather have an insane man as the head of this country than put up with the peers in my country being allowed to censor people like you. That is fucking bullshit. I fought for this fucking country. I fucking signed up, went to Afghanistan, and fought for this fucking country.
Yeah.
Free speech is fucking part of that.
Dude, I started the 4 more years chant that was on the news. So like I was on KTVU News. They were at the big camera was pointed right at me. Yeah. Oh, I got to show you. Yeah, I did show you. Yeah, I started that chant because I was like, she was saying something stupid. And I was just like, 4 more years. It was fucking great.
I don't even like him as a human being. I don't like him.
On the other hand,
I'll elect him. I'll elect him again, bitches.
I love how much it pissed people off.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
That's the thing is like you need to be able to have those counter thoughts. If you can't have an experience and exist with those counter thoughts. Sorry, what?
Oh, there's just a person standing at
it's Mary.
Gate there.
That's Mary.
That's just
Hi, Mary.
I was just like that gate's weird. That's what caught my eye.
My neighbor Mary is she's waiting for...
No, it's just that there's an inside gate. Sorry, that really weirded me out.
She used to be a building manager. Her ex-husband was a little crazy.
Okay.
It's just Mary.
No, I've never seen a gate like... that's like an... this is
Did you notice my front door next to my front door?
But yeah.
I have a front door next to my front door. One front door works.
Oh, wow.
One front door does not work. I have 2 front doors.
Oh, that's neat.
What's up, Mary? Yeah. Let me know how the strike went today. Yeah, we'll talk all about it. Actually, this is Jay right here is also a Lyft driver, and so we are on strike right now.
Yeah, but
Will be another day?
I don't think so. Not right now. No.
But how can you?
I'll tell you all about it later. We're actually recording right now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
okay, but.
Yeah. I'll tell you all about it.
But yeah, there was an Uber strike today. I assume it should be Uber and Lyft. They should both do it at the same time. But this one was mainly Uber, specifically. But I support strikes. I support the idea of unions. I don't know how I feel about being forced into unions. I feel that's kind of iffy. But for the most part, I appreciate labor's ability to negotiate with.
Well, that's the thing is I've been feeling the paycheck get smaller and smaller.
Yeah,
and so I support where they're coming from, and I do think that the drivers found a good opportunity and they were making good money, and now the business and the big corporations are coming in and trying to they've got enough drivers working that if they $10 here, $5 there, 30 cents here, 45 cents there. Well, now those are big corporate profits.
Right.
And so they're just chipping in, and it almost seems unnoticeable. But if you've been around for a while,
yeah,
then as a driver, you can see that, like, no, this is not, I'm putting in the same amount of hours. I'm not taking out the same amount of cash. And so, yeah.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, you know what? I think a lot of people are going to leave. I think that's going to happen. I think some drivers are just going to be like, you know what? This isn't working for me anymore. I can't do it.
I'd like to find, the next thing or the other thing.
I'll be honest. Like,
if Uber or Lyft offered like a premium driver program, where they were like, hey, if you have a track record and we know you're good, like, people will pay a premium to have like a good, like a no bullshit
or like you're able to pass a background check so that you can take kids under 18. Like that would be
all
another service. Like all kinds of stuff.
I don't mind the kids.
No, me neither. And I would be happy to go through that extra process.
Yeah.
But because I go through that process, I should make more.
Yeah.
So I'm all for that.
Thing is, I feel like just because of the track record, I feel like the big thing that Uber and Lyft are doing wrong is that they're not rewarding their long-term drivers.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. That's a real issue.
Like the people who are sticking around and going, you know what, this works week to week, it doesn't get better a year down the road. It gets worse.
Yeah.
It does not. You don't accrue benefits. You don't accrue higher pay. You don't accrue the appreciation for the knowledge and skill that you've acquired.
Yeah.
You get less and less pay as you get better and better at the job. And then why would you stick around the job that you're so fucking good at when they're paying you less? Why would you do that?
That's corporate America. There's a lot of businesses that do that to people.
Yeah.
Like if you make enough, if you get so good at your job to where you can earn enough that all of a sudden, like, they kick you out.
Yeah.
Because it's just easier to hire 2 new people than to pay that person who's that good.
You can pay somebody else who's not as good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think I had a Lyft employee. It was my last ride today, and he's on the QA team, and I was talking to him about the software and what all's in there and what's going on and how hard it is to get employed and all these things. And he was talking about hiring me. Because you could tell I knew what the fuck was going on with the software.
Yeah,
I know the apps. I know the software. I know the way it works. I know what the fuck's going on. And
I've thought about that.
That's all they need on the QA team. So, like, but the other thing is that, like, that might be a good opportunity. I would rather be on the production team, like the video production team. Like, that's more interesting to me. But, I don't know. I feel like I can't do this forever, but at the same time, I don't know if I want to go to a salaried job because they suck your hours. They're going to just eat your life.
That's the hardest part for me is that Uber, you just sign up. Uber or Lyft, you just sign up. You download the app, you sign up, you're ready to go. Yeah. Like, you don't have to, like, send in an application, hope they call you back, go in for an interview, hope they like you. Like, I hate that fucking process.
But that process usually comes with a slightly higher pay rate.
I just hate it. Well, I don't do well at that. I don't do well at that. I don't do well at interviews. I don't do well at that.
I do well at interviews at companies that I get along with. Oh. Like, when I interviewed at Sony in 2007, 2006, somewhere in there, like, the geek guy that was, running the back end and looking to hire me, it was like, oh, we play similar video games. And, like, it was like, yeah, like, we got along, and it was like, clearly we can work together. And, like, I knew what I needed to do. I understood the job. It was real casual. And so, like, I got that. And then I got this similar at the Ultraflix, the startup that I worked at here in San Francisco. This is a funny story that'll be fun to share on the podcast. Actually, during the job interview, so I was living in Denver and working online freelancing, remote mostly, with supplementing. I had another local guy I was working with as well, who I was editing for. Anyway, got the job offer, came out here to go to a wedding actually, and then interviewed while I was here. And I went to the offices in Soma. And after the initial interview, they're like, okay, we're just going to go look at the video stuff and talk about these other things. Like the main interview is basically done. So before we go up and look at all these displays and shit, we're going to go smoke a joint in the garage.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about that. And so like I was like, I'm cool with it. Like, I'll even smoke with you guys. Like, dude, I'm down. And so I actually smoked a joint during a job interview.
That's funny.
But like that was the thing, is that I was like, I can work here. Like these people, like they're out there and they're doing cool and interesting stuff.
Look,
but like those are the job interviews where I was like, these are my people.
Except for Uber, except for rideshare, every job I've had in this city is a coveted job. Like, I worked at a pot club. My first job here was working at the premier marijuana dispensary at the time. We were the only one. We were like one of the first ones with a lounge. We had the nicest lounge in the city. We had no, it was called CMC when we were on Sutter between Polk and Van Ness.
Yeah.
And fucking phenomenal club. Like, part of my interview process was how good of a joint can you roll? Nice. And so. But I was hired. I was one of their best ones. I was buying the glass for the club.
Why'd you leave?
The club got shut down. This was during the Obama administration. It got shut down in 07 by the FDA DEA. Like, it was. They didn't raid us. Basically, they sent a letter to the property owner saying, we have determined they're selling marijuana here. If you don't stop it, we can take your property. So they were like, fuck that.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out.
So that's what happened to us.
Jesus.
But after that, I
got censored.
Yeah.
You got silenced. God damn. It all comes back. It all comes back around.
Yeah.
And it all comes back around, man.
After that, I got hired at the Punchline. After that, I got hired at Cobb's. After that, I got hired at the Fillmore. So, yeah. But, we're going to have to shut this.
We are going to take a break. We might come back and we might not. This might be the end of the podcast. We don't know.
Yeah, find out. Keep listening. Look ahead. Is there more time? Then there's more coming.
Otherwise,
bye.
This is the end. Clank. Alrighty. Welcome back to the second half of Silence This with your host, J. Austin Graham, and your co-host,
Tyler Owen Morris.
Welcome.
Yeah, it's fun to be on the other side. I'm used to running the board and being the technical side, so it's fun to actually host, actually.
Let somebody else be the Jamie to your Joe Rogan.
Yeah. What is it? Quarter Black Jared? Is that it? I don't know.
Quarter Black Jared. I'm 1/10 of 1% Owen. I am 1/10 of 1% Sub-Saharan African though.
1/10 of 1% oppressed?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's how much of me is that's the exact portion mathematically of my body that is oppressed. Like molecular, you can count it to the atom. Those are the oppressed atoms.
Hold on. Here's what you need to do.
Other atoms aren't oppressed. So 1/10 of 1% of the atoms in my body are oppressed. The rest of the atoms in my body are not oppressed.
So you need to find other people that were gender forced or gender assigned.
That were gender assigned something other than their biological gender, though, because that's actually kind of
just being
part of the story.
thrust upon you.
Yeah. Well, the thing
you
is
need
that,
to find other
the thing
people.
Is the trans people are claiming that.
If you can get
trans people are claiming that their biological gender is thrust upon them. This is part of my problem. Like I should have more conversations with more transgender people.
True.
But they're claiming that that their cisgender was forced upon them. And I actually had a gender outside of my cisgender forced upon me to some extent. Not to any major, crazy, insane extent.
You weren't forced to take hormones.
It's not like when I was 8 years old, I was doing fucking striptease for $1 bills.
right,
dressed as a girl. Like,
right. That's kind of different.
But that's something that's happening today. So
not only is that happening, it's being
that
celebrated.
You're right. So what do we do with that kid? Because to me, it seems like when that kid hits 13, 14, 15, and he decides he's attracted to women, and he realizes no woman's going to fuck him for what he's been doing for the past 6 years.
Do you think so?
At that age, that's how he's going to feel.
He might feel that way, but I don't think that that's real.
No. But at the same time, I get that like young male panic of like the most desirable,
okay, sure.
the most desirable women are going to go for the
right.
most.
It could very mentally affect him. Yes, well, I agree.
The concern at that age is that you're going to realize that, you know, when I was on the football team, the cheerleaders appreciated that I could do one hell of a toe touch. You know what a toe touch is?
When you touch your toes?
No, you jump up. And then you stick your hands out to the sides. You basically do the splits in the air, but you touch your toes to your hands.
Move. Yeah.
It's a cheerleader move.
Yeah.
And so, you know, the cheerleaders are practicing it and talking about how hard it is and this and that and the other thing. And I'm pretty athletic. I've done all this ballet and all these things. And so I just wham.
Yeah.
And they're like, whoa. And I very quickly realized that was not attractive.
Huh.
That was interesting,
but not attractive.
To high school aged girls, the fact that a man could dance was not a sexually appealing thing. That was the way that I felt.
Well, I would agree that at those times
it was a novelty and it was interesting.
Well, so I mean, we were in high school at the same time.
I might have been able to translate that into pussy had I been more skilled. I will.
I don't know, man. You know what? I'm gonna look, man. I'm gonna agree with you that actually, when you stand out in a high school situation like that, like standing out in any way. What you stand out for, and the fact that I stood out for theater and dance. So one of the weirdest things to me was, and still is gay men that were in the closet, right?
Right.
So think about this: like, if a person comes out, and they're just gay, then you're like, cool, well, like this guy's gay. I get it.
I've told you my joke for 2019. My brand new 2019 joke, which is that I think we can all agree that 2019 is the first year where coming out as gay is finally not brave anymore. It's funny because it's pro-gay, because you're fine. Nobody cares anymore. I agree.
Well, yeah, I mean, like...
That was what you were saying, right? That was what you were saying that, right?
Yes, that is what I'm saying. I was just thinking about the joke. I think it needs another...
Don't worry about the joke.
Yeah, man. It needs something else.
Don't worry about the joke.
But
I've told enough people that to know.
Well, no, to me,
enough people. The thing is that it is, on one level, that joke shouldn't work, but it works better on more PC people because they immediately are getting their heckles up to think you're saying something
and then
offensive.
It's just that's it.
And well, that's the thing, is that the joy, the relief,
that
you're not saying something offensive is what makes them laugh.
Oh, I see. Yeah, okay.
And so to you, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because you're like, duh.
Yeah. I was like, okay, and
duh. Okay. But that's the thing, is that so many people actually laugh at that because they like it takes a second of pause of going like, oh shit, you're right. Like, that's not brave anymore. You're just another human being. Like, you made it. You're right.
That is a very good thing.
It's a good thing.
Well, I guess that was kind of the thing. Like, the 80s broke that seal, man.
Yeah.
Like, we had all these wonderful musicians that were just openly gay or androgynous or whatever, and they were excellent musicians. Like, I mean, Elton John was one of the forefront, but he came out, what was it, George Michael, Boy George, Queen, like all these amazing artists. And it was just
Milli Vanilli.
And like when I was being born in the 80s, like growing up under that, you're just like, oh, okay. This
That's
guy
just
makes
the
good
thing.
music,
Yeah.
and they're gay.
This thing
All
is,
right.
like, I remember, these like really feminine male figures that were held up as sexual icons to women.
Yeah.
I remember the Michael Jacksons of the world, the Princes of the world, and I was there. I was it was late '80s, so maybe I didn't come about until I don't even remember which album we would have been up to by then. It's the one that was on Free Willy. Anyway, but my point is that this inclusiveness and people of other genders and skin colors and gender expressions and things like that is definitely not a foreign concept to somebody like me.
Right.
And you.
Yeah.
We've grown up around this. We've been around this. Well, I don't know if you grew up around.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I would say. Like
that's what you're saying.
My
right?
friends, I was always friends with those people that I felt were marginalized because I saw that they needed friends.
Right.
And that's kind of what drew me to them. And I've always done that. I wouldn't say I didn't physically stand up against bullies, but I'd talk shit against bullies. If bullies came after me, I'd run because I got good at running.
I did.
But
I remember in 7th, 8th grade, I remember the point at which I decided that the next time that I may have been in 7th grade, but I decided that the next time that this guy pushed me around in the hall, I was just going to come at him like crazy.
Yeah.
I had just decided.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what he did, but basically I just hit him with body shots, but I hit him with a lot of body shots, really fast. And he just kind of took it, and then I stopped, and he was like, okay. And he never did it again. And that was the other thing is I even earned a nickname out of that because I think he was in my Spanish class. So the name I earned in my Spanish, El Spastico, spastic one.
I had
because I just flipped out on him. But
I had kind of
a
a similar thing where it's I didn't want to hit people. I was more of a ground, wrestler type. But if somebody hit me in the face, that was it. One tap in the face, and all of a sudden they're on the ground and I'm standing on them. I don't really know I don't really have a memory between that. It's just you go for my face and it's over.
I have some very interesting books up there by a gentleman named Paul K. Chappell. Called Will War Ever End and The End of War. And one of the things he discusses about human nature that I think is really interesting is the effect of fury.
Huh.
That one can become furious. And sometimes there have been battle cultures who have been designed around inciting that in their warriors because warriors are so effective.
Yeah, the Nordic culture, the berserkers.
The berserkers and things like that. And what you're inciting is you're mechanically inciting fury through other means, but you can incite genuine fury in pretty much any human being.
Yeah.
That fury is a state that you can reach where your personal safety is thrown completely out of the window. You don't care at all.
Uh-huh.
And you are hell-bent on accomplishing something, usually for the tribe, for your tribe members.
Yeah.
That you're, whether it's crushing an enemy or, killing the bear, killing whatever's going to kill your family and kill your tribe and kill your whatever, that you lose your mind and you actually literally biologically become, it's almost like a superhuman state.
Yeah.
Where, these are the kind of states where you hear about mothers lifting cars off their children.
Yeah.
Things like that. That's fury.
Well, I feel that brings me back to the demand free speech rally, whereas when I had an Antifa in my face with a mask on, and she hit me enough with her sign to where I could have justified removing the mask, which I always want to do, I decided to de-escalate because I didn't want to have to go there.
Yeah.
Because I know what's possible.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go there.
Yeah.
Like, I want to try to, like, okay, this is fun. I get my chuckle out of this. Like, I'm done. Like, I don't want to escalate this any further for anybody.
I'm not having fun anymore.
Well, I don't want anybody to get hurt.
Yeah.
I don't want the police to have to get involved. I don't want pepper spray. I don't want any of that shit.
The purely... I've been in enough fights. I've been around fighting enough. I understand fighting enough that I don't want anyone to get hurt.
Yeah.
And so, a lot of why I've pulled back from, I wanted to be really involved with Occupy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I went up to, I performed comedy with SF Occupy.
Nice.
It was really fun.
But and I wanted to, get behind that movement and push it further. But the violent angle of things, I was at SF State at the time, and in my gender studies class, oh, you're going to love this.
I never had to take one. I managed to get a degree without it.
I had to take it to graduate. It was part of my core.
No, I know.
And hold on. I thought it was a women's gender studies class. That's what I was told. That was what was on the fucking thing. I thought we were going to talk about women.
That sounds...
women, gender, and I was going to learn about women and what it is to be a woman and understand about women in America. I thought I was going to understand that.
Right.
That's what I thought the fucking course was going to be. Guess what the course was? It was a fucking 3-4 month class in why straight white men are responsible for everything terrible in your life.
I definitely knew where this was going.
I'm not even kidding. I got in a little bit of trouble. It was all right. I did not really get upset until the TA was showing video footage from Occupy. And
New York Occupy, SF Occupy?
Berkeley.
Okay.
Oakland Occupy.
Okay.
And so, there were all these protesters and they had shields.
Right.
And they were advancing and they were organized and they were chanting and they were doing these things.
Yeah, Oakland Occupy was no BS. Yeah.
Well, the other thing is that, and the cops, the other thing is they're throwing rocks and they're doing whatever they're doing, blah, blah, blah. And the cops come back and use, tear gas. They use a couple pieces of force. They use bean bags. They use real riot breaking stuff. But she's like, "Hey, this is police brutality." Blah blah blah. I had just gotten back from Afghanistan. I know rules of engagement.
Okay.
Go fuck yourself.
Okay.
That was not police brutality. You met the rules of engagement on multiple levels. One, throwing rocks.
Yeah.
Lethal force. People have been killed in combat. People have been killed driving down the road in Iraq from a 14-year-old kid throwing a rock that came in the window of a Humvee, hit somebody in the fucking face who's flying down the road at 40 miles an hour, and that person died from the impact of the rock to the face. So you can die from that kind of shit. And, it's unlikely that you're going to kill anybody hurling it over. And it is, I get it. But essentially...
It can happen.
It can happen. If you hit somebody in the head in the right way, just like the beanbags, just like the thing used against you. You're throwing rocks, we're throwing beanbags. Pop, 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 and they shoot them into the legs. They shoot them low. Yeah. They're not shooting for your head. They're not trying to, permanently injure you as a human being. They did everything right. And...
Hey, doggy.
Yeah, it was the class just wanted to turn against me.
Huh. Well,
that was the thing is that was actually one of my early exposures to realizing this liberal culture had, looking back, because I pushed back against a lot of the white male hatred in that class, and I got ganged up on, and I got dismissed. And I didn't have the arguments. I didn't have the knowledge. I didn't have I didn't have what I needed to defend myself in that class. And so I became the scapegoat, and I became the Nazi. I'm sure some people walked out of that class going, "See, they're right here among us, these white supremacists." I'm sure I got painted that way.
So you're on to what I was talking about being a heretic against the religion. In Texas, I was surrounded by Southern Baptists that were like, oh, if you say that, you're going to hell. If you do this, you're going to hell. Like, that was their thing. And I was just like, okay, I'm going to push this button. I'm going to go against this, right?
Sure, we'll do that, yeah.
And this is the same thing. This is the exact same thing. You were doing that in that class. What's happening was that was a class that was like going into Sunday school and being like, well, you're teaching me this doctrine. And I'm saying, well, this doesn't make sense, and here's why. You're asking questions at Sunday school. You're saying, like, well, the Bible says this, but I see that this doesn't match up logically. What's up? And they're like, well, you need to read your Bible again. And it's like, I did. And when it says this, I have this question. Yeah. And they're like, you just don't have enough faith. And it's the same shit.
Yeah.
It's the same.
No. That's the thing is that I've said multiple times on Twitter that feminism is a religion. I'm not sure, in my
That's why I say social justice cult instead of warrior, because it's a fucking cult.
Okay, so I don't know. We're all trying to find words for it because it is, what do you put it down to? Do you put it to the Democratic Party? Maybe they spawned it, but it's not them anymore. Do you put it down to feminism entirely? That was a lot of the driving ideology and a lot of the communities that had gravitated to it, but the feminism itself isn't actually the thing. Especially,
no, I generally support feminism.
Especially the more noble, the good, yes, equality, yes. The equality goals of feminism I support. The ones that aren't about holding down, oppressing, and like the ones that aren't about like let's dominate men. Yeah. Like I've been reading Bell Hooks. It's about ending domination. So anything that's about dominating what they did to you was about dominating you and controlling you. So therefore, that is not in keeping with the ideology where they started. They've gone astray from the beginning ideology.
One of the weirdest things about the idea of oppression of women to me is that everyone has mothers. Everyone has a mother.
Yeah. Well, I think
a lot of us have sisters. A lot of us have family members that are. So it's like
I don't have any sisters,
but it's like how can you? It's really hard to be prejudiced against the people you love and are like right there with you and for you.
That brings up one thing I've been thinking about a bunch that I think is really interesting. We are very, very reluctant as a society to talk about abusive mothers.
Okay, see, now that is a whole... See, there you go. Now you've gotten to the point of what I was... Because that's the question that my statement begs.
Yeah.
Is like, because like, why would you dislike? And it's because I've had bad experience. Well, that's the answer.
I feel that my mother was abusive in many ways. I love her. I'm willing to forgive her. I'm willing to move on with life and all that stuff. But like, just as long as she stops taking me to gay bars, it seems like that was enough to cause her to disown me. And so that's her shit.
And it's like, we can get along. Just stop doing this.
Yeah, but the thing is that, when I say like, I as a person am in pain because my mother did something. The rest of society is very quick to go, fuck you.
No.
Fuck you. You deal with it. That's on you. Don't you dare blame your mother. That's your mother. She birthed you. She brought you into this world. Blah, 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 on and on and on and on. And you're...
Let's look at this. Let's look at this. It's
usually the way it's framed.
Wait, but they're different people who are going to say that, okay? Look, there's daddy's girls out there who are going to agree with you every fucking time. Because there are people who have had conflicts with their mothers their whole life.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them. There's a lot of people like that. And they obviously are underspoken and underrepresented. Because there's a lot of people who have been raised by their mother their whole life with absent fathers. And so we're looking at a real split here. And like, it's actually could be a very serious thing. The split between people who were raised by single mothers and to them, their father was never even there.
That's
like
most of it's a lot.
And
of my
it's a high number of that.
Yeah.
Versus experience
the other thing is I don't blame my dad. I'm not mad at my dad. I'm not upset with my dad. Like I feel like my dad was responsible. I feel like he took care of the situation. He did what he could. He did the best he could and he tried real hard. And I'm not mad at him. I'm mostly mad that like, you know, my needs, when I'm like, hey, my needs aren't being met, can we prioritize some of these things? You know, at that.
You're not being heard.
Well, I'm not being heard. I'm being silenced.
Yeah.
I'm being told your needs aren't important. Or, you know, like, okay, before I left for Afghanistan, my mother took me to this tiny little restaurant right next to a big ass gay bar.
Right.
And I was upset because when we pulled up, we're just in front of the gay bar. I was like, where are we? What the fuck?
Yeah.
And she's like, don't worry, it's just a little restaurant over there. I'm like, well, where did you find this place?
And this like, is your last meal before you before your first tour.
Before I get on, no, second tour.
Second tour. Okay.
Second tour, but first like real combat tour. I'm going to Afghanistan. I'm going to the fucking shit.
Yeah.
Like we're going to get shot at. We're going to get blown up.
Yeah.
It's going to be fucking nasty. Somebody's going to fucking die.
Okay.
For like no bullshit. Like that was the feeling before we leave. Is like somebody is going to fucking die out of all of us. And you're standing there and you're looking at everybody
you don't know
else.
who it is.
You don't know who it is. You don't know how and when and why.
But it's
you
gonna
know for
happen.
fucking sure.
Somebody's not coming.
You don't know how many. 9, 14, 22, 3. You don't know. But you know somebody's going to fucking die.
Wow.
And somebody's not fucking coming home. And it's like, okay, here we go. I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm throwing
we're doing this.
We're doing this. Let's go. I'm in.
Yeah, we're here.
We're here. We're doing this.
Yeah.
Like you're throwing your cards in. I'm throwing my cards in.
It's like signing up for open mic.
Well, because the other, to some extent. But the other thing is that like it's like, you know, especially once I'd been in for like 6 years at that point, so it was like, hey, if by me going, like maybe there's a chance that my experience means that somebody's just hurt instead of dead.
Right. Right.
Like maybe the difference. Maybe I'm the difference between something bad and something really bad.
Wow.
And so like, I'd rather be there and be responsible for it.
Yeah.
Than be home.
Yeah. At least I was here to help.
At least I was here
in this way that I could.
Whatever I could.
Yeah.
I'll do what I can, and I'll be here, and I'll do what I can, and you know, I'll take it as it comes, and you know, but at least I wasn't at home sitting on my ass, not fucking trying, you know. But yeah, where was I going with all? Start with all this.
I am lost.
Yeah. No,
that was some good stuff, though.
Yeah. No, that was the thing. We were getting to this thing of like.
Well, it's very relevant to remove from reality.
Yeah, it's definitely relevant to my documentary, but I wanted to bring it back to what we were talking about before that.
Well, we were talking about one of the things we were talking about is the difference in how we had opposite experiences with fathers in the home, whereas your father was like more of a, like you got to see him in the summers and on holidays, so you often experienced like really good times, and that your mother was more the authoritarian in that relationship.
Yeah, she was more the disciplinarian.
There's the word.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that was the word.
So for me, when I was young, my mother was a stay-home mother, and my father was out working in the Texas oil field, and he would be out for like long periods of time. Like sometimes he'd go stay out in a motel and like sleep out there and then come home. And so he would go out and he would want things his way. Things would everything would be good. And then he'd be gone for a few days and miss his family, and then come home and things had changed. And he was like, "What's this? What's going on? You know, like this is how I like things, and like things aren't like this." And then he was used to being like in charge on the wells, and he's like, I run things out here, and then I come home and things aren't like this. And like that frustration like translated into him becoming more of the disciplinarian. So like,
because he was running things out on the rig, he wanted to run things at home, but he wasn't there all the time, so it was hard to like manage with the leader that wasn't. Yeah. No, in my house it was all mom. I mean, even when the family was together, it was all mom rule, and if you don't go with mom, God help you. Like fucking, it's you're gonna get the hammer. She's gonna fucking find a way to hurt you. She's gonna fuck you up. Like,
I think that's actually a very common American experience.
Nightmare. She's a fucking nightmare.
I think women have the ability to do that in a lot of situations.
The thing is, they're not hitting anyone.
Right.
They're not being physically violent, but their ability to be emotionally violent is especially now that we're down to feels.
Yeah.
Now that we're all living and able to drink and eat enough food and water, and we're fine.
Maybe
we're now like.
Maybe we're ready to recognize what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Maybe we're down to the point.
We're down to the point where like we're getting through the man shit. We did the #MeToo. We're getting through the sexual assault, the sexual violence. We're getting through the fucking, the boys club male dominance. Yeah. We're getting through getting women into being CEOs and being, into these positions, provided they fucking earn it.
Yeah, of course.
We're getting through that. And so then we're able to get to the point where we are able to say, hey, there are women out there who are using these female shields, then they're using the system itself to abuse men, because there's assumptions made about her based on her gender, and they are built into our legal system. They are built into our especially divorces and things like that. They are built into those systems to assume certain things about her income versus his income, and like.
Let me tell you what's eroding this system. Female women getting into jobs. Here's the thing. The more female judges we have,
that's gonna piss
the more female police officers we have.
Piss so many people
the
off.
thing is females call women out on their shit. They see past it. They don't put up that, oh, poor woman. Like, women see through other women's shit.
Hold on.
And we need women in those positions where they can just be like, look, lady.
Back up to the first statement.
What?
So, okay, go ahead and finish then.
Well, it's just, look, lady, I see through your bullshit right now.
Yeah.
Like, that's why it's like we need women police officers, like, at the bottom line. That's what women are always saying. We need, like, we want more CEOs, whatever. No, what we need is bottom line, like women in the forces. We need women, like, going to the domestic disputes. Like, we need a male and a female officer showing up.
That'd be nice. Yeah, that'd be great.
You know what I mean? So they don't just automatically take the woman's perspective. There's a woman there to be like, no, I see what you're doing. Yeah. Like, I know this trick.
Okay, that brings up. I had a very personal interaction with a woman who was professionally beautiful for a very long time and has been on ayahuasca for the better part of a decade, and is now putting her significant.
I mean, that sounds really fun. I gotta say,
it's ridiculous. It's the whole situation's ridiculous. Don't even get me started. But the point of the whole thing is that I talked to her and she's like, "Oh, my significant other's back in jail for domestic violence," and like. I'm like, okay, it only happened like once or twice. It only happened once or twice, and I don't. Okay.
Okay.
Slow down. Slow down.
Taking a deep breath. Okay.
She never wanted to have kids.
Okay.
She got pregnant. Okay. She didn't want to have an abortion.
Okay, understandable.
So she had the kid. Very attached to the kid. Wants to take care of the kid. Really shitty mom.
Understandable.
Really shitty mom. Super shitty mom.
Not so understandable.
Shitty. Super shitty.
A little less. Yeah.
No offense to her. I love her. She does well enough, but she is definitely emotionally scarring that child.
Not good to hear.
And in the short amount of time, the 6 or 8 hours or whatever I was around them a couple months ago, bringing her a car because she had gotten into a car accident and she needed a replacement car. In that short period of time, I saw the abuse that she was throwing at him.
Aha. Being able to see it.
And realizing that, there's this external story of what he's doing to her, but the story of what she's doing to him when he's trying to take care of their daughter, and when he's trying to make this house work, and he's out of the house working, and she's supposed to take care of the daughter, and she has these limited responsibilities, and she doesn't clean up, and she doesn't take care of the house, and she doesn't do and it's it seems like this chauvinistic, masculine, feminine, but it literally is, that's her life. That's where she is. She is a model who has been on ayahuasca and doing all these other things, and her skin is all fucked up. She can't work doing what she's done. She hasn't been eating, so she doesn't.
That'll do it.
She hasn't been eating, so she weighs 102 pounds, and so she's not attractive, and so she can't do what she has done traditionally to make money, and she doesn't know how to make money, and she takes out her frustration with the whole situation on him. Is my impression. That's my impression.
Yikes.
And that ends up, I don't know how that can culminate. I just remember that, that was a brutal situation. It gets worse than that. I'm not
Silence
even
this got real.
Yeah, got super harsh. That's what's good stuff.
No, that's why we do this. That's
real
why we're
people.
doing this show.
And
because this is real. This is reality. That's the thing. You can't run away from reality. You can pretend. You can hide. You can be like, oh, no, I didn't hear that. Oh, no, those facts aren't real. No.
Oh, you said something other than what you actually said.
Yeah.
The straw man is hiding from reality.
Yeah, it is. That's what we're dealing with right now. We're dealing with people who literally will not accept reality.
Yep.
And
it's frustrating. It's incredibly frustrating.
Yeah. I mean, we all see it, and they're like, no, but
these other statistics. Did you see the argument I got into, where they were they were showing statistics where they're white people are more likely to get hired than black people, and I don't remember how the statistics. It had nothing to do with what I was arguing.
It wasn't even related.
It was totally unrelated. And they're like, no, this proves that what you're saying is wrong. And you're like, no, you're not hearing what I'm saying. I'm saying that the philosophical structure of the argument for diversity hiring is morally corrupt. The fact of saying that because history equals this, now I can discriminate against this person based on their skin color, gender, and sexual orientation, that is morally corrupt. That is my whole argument. And stop. Full stop. And they were like, still white people are more likely to get hired than black people. And I was like, that has nothing. Well, it's not about the outcome. It's not about the outcome. It's about the structuring of the argument.
What you said is the current heresy. That's the thing that you're not allowed to say. Is that discriminating against white people happens to be discrimination.
Yeah.
It's it's in the term. Yeah. And it's it's prejudice against white people based on race. It's well, that's not racism. Okay, it's prejudice based on race, which is really, really bad. You agree that prejudice based on race is bad, right? Right. It's well, that's not race. It doesn't matter. Is it okay to be prejudiced based on race? Is it? And they're like,
no, that's not okay.
Okay. Then
okay, but you're white, so you have no entitlement to that opinion. You're like, okay, did you see what you just did? You just did, you proved, you
Why?
tumbled over yourself. You just fell on your face.
And what you did is you got some more Trump voters. That's what happened.
That's how it's going to work out. Oh, God. We're not pro-Trump. We're not. I don't want him. I want anyone else to be elected, but he's going to be elected again because you fucking morons.
I wish I liked any of the people running against him more. I wish.
I just
I don't know.
I keep waiting on some of them to like do or say or do something that I'm like, yes. No. Like, I agree with you. You're better. And it's like...
I'm curious about universal basic income, but I also think that it should be prerequisite upon some sort of data input that you have to like, okay, here, think about this. Imagine this.
I don't get it.
If you're welfare, okay, I've been to Ohio. I've been to like deep rural Ohio where people are on like fucking... It's just like family welfare system.
Wow. The modern plantation.
Well, but it's white and black and mixed, and it's not racial. It's people being fucking lazy. It's everybody who's trying to be
racial.
fucking lazy.
It's all about like just living off of the government instead of
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And there was somewhere I was going with this. God damn it, we got
Ohio.
too high. No, well, the thing is that, like, so there's this like culture of victimhood of you know,
competitive victimhood.
Yeah, of like what's wrong with me, of responsibility. It's personal responsibility, and those people are all...
Those two things are very opposition.
Well, no, that's the thing is that, you know, accountability and personal responsibility of like, you know, okay, what's his name came on your podcast?
D'Souza?
D'Souza, yeah. And what's her name? The woman who accused him.
Ruby
Gill.
Ruby Gill.
Yeah. She did not come on your podcast.
Right.
And so to me, that is a message of personal accountability.
They both got invited. The one who had to defend his reputation came on the show, and as you pointed out, the one who had nothing more to gain chose not to come on the show.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's lack of personal accountability of like, why'd you do this? Why? Why did you share this story? Why did you frame it this way?
Look, I understand if you're trying to warn other people. I get that. If you're like, hey, this person did something that hurt me, this person did something I don't approve of, and I want to warn you to watch out for this. I get that. In fact, I think that's important. I think for people to say, like, look, this happened to me, I'm warning you, don't let it happen to you. I think that's important.
Hold on. I think it's also important for the creepers to be called out. You know, I've defended the Keith D'Souza's and the Chris Barelicks of the world. And for any of you who don't know, Chris Barelik just said some stuff to a burlesque dancer after performance at an open mic and immediately realized what he said was inappropriate because he's a comic and he's a crazy person. And he is a creeper, I will admit.
Yes.
But, like, the thing was
I'm not talking down, I just...
The thing was that, the thing is that she, you know, he apologized. He realized that, like, he had crossed a line. And he apologized. And he made an effort. And he was trying to be...
He recognized that he made a mistake.
Yeah, that he made a mistake. Immediately. And yet... he paid for it for months. For months and months and months. And he didn't do anything to her physical... God damn it, I'm hiccuping. We got to end this.
Okay, but look, I want to say this. Look, this goes back to... I hate to say this because I used to fight so hard against certain Christian things that pissed me off. But it's a fucking Christian background. It's the idea that forgiveness is divine. And that's the thing. Like when somebody genuinely like recognizes that they made a mistake, and they're like, "Hey, I understand I did this thing, and I realize now I didn't know before, and now I thought like, okay, this is wrong, and I feel bad for it. And I apologize." And it's like it really is a Christian thing to forgive.
Well, the other thing is that that's part of the reason why Judeo-Christian society is so successful is because that affords for the effect of learning.
Yeah.
The effect of making a mistake
and learning better.
And learning.
Yeah.
and doing better, and then you do better, and everybody goes, "Hey, you're a virtuous, good person again," after doing that wrong thing.
Yeah.
We all, as a society, forgive you, and you're good.
Yeah, you've learned. You made a mistake.
Good
You've
job.
learned. Yeah.
Good
you
job.
You did what you were
Pat on
supposed
the
to
back.
do.
Not you're silenced, you're canceled forever. Because fuck that.
Yeah, no, it's...
That's exactly where it should end it.
Yeah,
We're exactly, I bet you the time's perfect, too.
Yeah, we're close
enough.
We're close enough. You know what? It doesn't have to be 2 hours. Yeah, we're FCC free now.
That is the point. Is that you shouldn't silence people. You shouldn't stop listening to people, and we are FCC.
No, you're free to stop listening. Just don't force other people to not be able to listen.
Yes.
The people who want to hear it should be able to hear it. That's all.
Don't silence people. Don't shut them off. Don't shut them out. Don't stop them from getting their message out there just because you don't agree. Maybe try to understand them.
Ignore it. Offer your rebuttal.
Listen. Try to iterate back to them what they're saying and see if you can, do it.
Yeah,
and then see if you can get them to do the same back to you.
That's it. Yeah. Say, "Oh, I heard you say this.
Yep.
Is this what you meant?"
Yep.
Yeah. There you go.
Perfect format.
Edwin Rausch's what is it? Empathy circle.
No, it's a perfect format. That's the format I
That dude's
use.
fucking great.
That's the format I use. I crush people all the time.
Yeah, that
You never
dude's
lose
fucking
with it.
great.
It's like the intellectual jujitsu.
Is this what you said? Yes. Okay.
Crush.
All right.
All right.
We'll be back with more.
This is
Silence This.
with fucking J. Austin Graham.
And Tyler Owen Morris.
I love us announcing each other. This is a good way to do this.
Sure.
Bam, one more time. Bam.
Yay.